Welcome back once again to Coach G Drills. Today we got a fun one for you. I've recently been calling this drill Pitchfork. In the past, we've called this drill bump approaches. Again, you can call these drills anything you like. Primarily, this drill focuses on approaches to the outside, but also communicating recoveries, communicating and playing out to the inside of this, right? So you'll kind of notice here as our guys get in, they're working on positioning as the two. All right, how do I get in here? How am I making sure that I'm positioned correctly, right? Obviously, making sure our sticks are covering, making sure that we can check hands, uh, not overly getting in. That way, I'm not sealing our guys off, right? You know, it's kind of a two-piece thing, right? Getting a good approach out to ball, chopping feet as we get there, getting out to hips, but then more importantly, right, when I'm playing inside, am I doing a good job of being that too? Am I calling or recovering in well? Am I putting my stick in a position where I can, check down, pin hands effectively? You know, am I doing a good job of seeing the backside, right? Am I, only watching the guy that's playing ball, right? Do I see where I need to approach out to? Am I playing 50-50 feet? All those things, right? So it gives our guys a lot of reps within this at all those different things, right? So one of the things that we started doing a little bit more, as the guy on the inside, I'm going to be moving around a lot. If I notice that our guys are, you know, getting a little bit too far out and starting to play on the ball side of this as the two, I'll start to seal them and make it a little bit more difficult for them. But making sure that we kind of give them a bunch of different looks on this as well, right? So here, Reed overplayed this, so I'll kind of get big and seal him here. I'll let him know that as well, just so he understands that he may have overplayed this a little bit. And then just the timing of this too, right? We don't need to essentially wait for the guy to get to us to bump back out to the outside and make our approach. Once we're within a stick length there, thinking about, if they pass this ball in here, do I need to essentially make contact with our two to push him back out? Or like we did in this particular one, once I'm within a stick length, can I get a stick on this guy if they do force the ball to the crease? Right. You'll notice some guys like Augie will definitely get a good stick check in once they get in there, thinking about what can we get away with. We want to make sure we do get a good solid check in. Can we get our stick in there and make sure that, before we even see that ball getting passed in, are we effectively getting our stick in, right? Similar thing here. Sam kind of overplayed this a little bit. I can get a little seal on him. Right. You'll notice our guys are kind of playing to the drill here a little bit. You don't see a lot of them playing 50-50 feet and checking back to the outside here. Right. So that is one thing that we definitely do need to do a little bit better. But they are getting their feet back to the outside. You will notice that within this, right, the guy that is dodging becomes the guy recovering. You can definitely edit this drill to, the guy making the approach can also be the guy recovering, and then you can kind of, shift your reps a little bit there to make sure that they're getting both that work. But within this, we're, essentially letting our guy open and then kind of forcing the guy that did do the dodging to come back and recover. That forces our guys to kind of communicate and, talk to that specific guy and forces them to have to get better communication a little bit there as well. So within the approach, right, big steps to get there, little steps to break down, trying to take a good topside approach, stick forward for the long pulls, force them one way. If you're noticing that they start to get lazy and take flat approaches, you can definitely encourage your guys that are dodging to beat them topside. If it starts to become too much of a drill and not real kind of game reps, then definitely if you have a additional coach helping out, say, hey guys, let's start to beat them. If it becomes a little bit too scripted here as well, but definitely want to start to challenge you guys with this. If they're becoming a little bit too scripted on the recoveries as well, have your crease guy move around, go low, start diving. Right, communicate the bumps out effectively. Think about stick positioning. I'm trying to get to the back hip. Am I V holding? Primarily, again, I wasn't always a big fan of the V hold. Primarily, I like my defenders to kind of get their pulls on a trail position, force them to the alley, throw a nice little slap check at the end of it. All right, good contact. Bump, bump, bump. Break down. All right, force down. Here, here, here. And kind of just practicing good fundamentals, right? Getting your stick in front of them, sliding them through your stick into your hands, get good control. Let your feet take over and continue to force them into a bad angle. All right, you can also make sure that the guy that's on ball is doing a good job of opening at the end of that, right? So even though the guy that is dodging is going to be the recovery, you can still have the guy that is on ball opening appropriately to kind of simulate, if I get a appeal call at the end of this, how do I open to recover? All right, again, with any of these drills, you can edit them to, support the needs of your team any which way you like to. But for us, again, this is primarily to work on communication, work on positioning, work on timing. All right, again, within this, we definitely should have done a little bit better job of positioning and seeing. Right there, we did a pretty decent job of, seeing the off ball a little bit there. But this gives us a lot of reps. Forces us to work on our conditioning a little bit as well. Forces us to work on positioning as we start to make our approach. Talking recoveries, talking approaches. But on this particular day, we had, I think, 15-20 minutes. We did this for about half of the time, and then we did another kind of approach recovery communication drill. Going from being off ball and making a quick approach off of this, right? So as we kind of get to the end of that 10 minutes, instead of slowing down, trying to make them have to think a little bit more, I start moving around on the crease a little bit more. Trying to get a little bit more intense as opposed to slowing down. Good. But yeah, this is Pitchfork. Again, call these drills whatever you like, but the main thing with this is working on approaches, working on recoveries, working on communication, working on positioning as the two, getting your stick in, ready to check if they force a ball into the crease. Yep. Thank you again.